With the 16th pick in the NBA draft, the Portland Trail Blazers selected Yang Hansen from China, a 20-year-old, just turned 20 today, a big 7'2", and one of the few people around that had Young as a first-round pick is our next guest. He is the host of the Big Board Show on Locked On Network. It is Rafael Barlowe. Thanks for taking a few minutes for us, man. How you doing?
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on. I'm good. I'm tired, but this is the time of year that I work for.
Look, when you're one of the few that has a guy projected as a first-round pick and he gets drafted in the first round, that's a good feeling. I know that you probably got a little swagger to your step today because of it. What did the Blazers get in the now 20-year-old prospect out of China?
Well, one, I had him as a first rounder, but I did not see him going number 16, so I can't even take credit for that. But I'm a big fan. I think the first time I tweeted about him was maybe 2 years ago, and then I broke down like a video clip of him. I think it was like January 1st, 2024. So what Portland is getting is, a massive interior presence. He's super skilled. He's a guy that you can give the ball to on the block, and he can score. He has, just counter moves on top of counter moves. He can finish with both hands. He led the CBA in blocks a couple years ago. I'm not for sure if he led it this year, but he's just a gifted scorer in the paint, but he's also a really, really good passer.
Ruff, when you look at this guy, everybody always wants to know player comps or potential outcomes. When you evaluate a guy that's further back, a late first, early second, or anybody, not even just him, what do you kind of look at as far as like potential outcomes when you're talking about like percentile outcomes? Like if he hits this marker, if he hits this marker, if he hits this marker, kind of what do you look at when you see generally, and then with what you see with Hansen?
I really just look at what I see. It's like a feeling, it's like a song, right? You hear the first few seconds so you know whether you like the song or not. And that's how it was with Hansen. But I just think that, one, he has the positional size, and he has, to me, two skill sets that could help him stick. He's a good interior scorer, and he's a phenomenal passer and rebounder. So when I'm looking at the guys, I just wonder, all right, do they have the positional size, and then what are the skill sets that they can hang their hat on? And then he has two, and then I guess you can even say three because he's a good rebounder.
Watching highlights can be a fool's game because we see guys who stars in college and they get to the NBA and for whatever reason it just doesn't translate. The skill level from the CBA in China to the NBA, it's going to be a dramatic leap forward for him, obviously. He has the size and a frame on him that you would think would translate well. What about the level of talent that he was playing at over there and how that transition is going to go for him?
Well, I think the pace of the game is going to be the biggest transition. But, again, I've been high on him for a while, and I have some friends that play over in the CBA. And most guys that play in the CBA are former NBA players, so they know what NBA players look like. And the couple guys that I spoke with, they were like, he's an NBA player. And they were saying this when he was 18 years old. So I think he'll be fine. It's going to be an adjustment period. But from everything I've heard, just from talking to different teams that he worked out for, is he just blew them away in the workouts, not only with his skill set, but just how he processed the game and how well he understood things, even though he may not speak the language fluently. But as one coach that worked him out said, he knew basketball. And a coach told me that his job was to work him out on the court, but then show him different film and scenarios and defenses, and he was just impressed with how intelligent he was. So I think for him, it's a couple things that could help him stick and adjust. Is that, one, he's been playing professionally, and the CBA does have NBA rules and NBA talent. And I think the bigs in the CBA are comparable to college basketball. It's just the guard play and the wings that make the league not as tough as others. But I think he'll be fine.
Ref, when a guy is taken, like where you had him mocked 27th, or if he's 32nd or 34th, the outcome for them becomes less important when you're talking about draft capital. When the Blazers take him at 16, what does that do to the outcome level and where it's successful for you? And what when you look at him and being at pick 16 now, what would be a successful outcome for him?
A successful outcome for him as a rookie is just getting on the floor. I mean, you look at the logjam that the Blazers have at the 5 spot, and I'm like, all right, I like the pick. I'm a big fan, but somebody has to move out the way in order for him to play. So I think that's the key, is getting on the court. And I also think, like, guys being successful really a lot of times depends on the team that drafted them and the situation. Me and my brother were talking earlier about some guys that, even though they were first-round picks or even some lottery picks, they're not in the best situation for them as far as fit and opportunity to succeed. So Hansen has his work cut out for him, or Yang. I don't even know what to call him. I've been calling him Hansen Yang for 2 years now.
We were talking about that. His name changed over 24 hours. Like, everybody just went from Hansen Yang to Yang Hansen in an instant.
So I've lived in China, and I understand the culture, and I understand, like, the last name is first. But I've been calling him Hansen Yang. And when I'm in New York still, I was at the draft, and when Adam Silver said Young, I was like, I thought I lost, because I was like, I don't know this guy. How am I not supposed to know who this guy is? And it took half a second for me to realize, oh, he's talking about the guy that I've been calling Hansen Yang.
You're not the only one. When you look at the bigs, I mean, it was a surprise to see him at 6, but following him, other bigs that were taken, you have Johan Berenger, the Frenchman who goes to the Timberwolves. You have Danny Wolf out of Michigan who goes to Brooklyn, and then Niederhauser, the Penn State big. After that, was he the best available big in your mind on the board at that point?
Yeah, it's interesting. Again, I didn't think he would go that high, but if I had, like, a game of one-on-one, I would take Hansen over any of those guys. Like, and I think that's why he skyrocketed up draft boards, because guys couldn't guard him in games. So how it translates to the NBA, whether or not they're going to give him post touches or not, that's a whole different story. But talent-wise, I mean, I think he's up there. I think if he would have went to college, we would be talking about him like we talked about Zach Edey. And he didn't even go too far behind Zach Edey a year later as far as where he was selected in the draft. And he didn't have the big college basketball buzz behind him or a Final Four run.
Ralph, when you look at this pick and where he was picked, in your time doing this, have you had a more surprising out of left field pick at a spot this high in doing this?
The closest thing, which is he actually went higher, was Patrick Williams when he went number 4. That was probably the biggest shocker. But this has to rank up there. I mean, Yegor Dimon going number 8 was also pretty surprising, but at least we knew that he had been mocked in that range at some point in the year. Hansen or Yang, I don't know. I'm going to just keep going with Hansen. Mm-hmm. He wasn't even projected, outside of myself and maybe my brother. I didn't see him projected as a first-round pick on any mocks. I think the highest I saw him, and that was probably within the last week, was in the 30s. So I'm just as shocked as everyone else. But I think Patrick Williams was the biggest shocker.
What was your favorite pick of that first round outside of Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper going 1-2?
The guy that we're talking about. I mean, I'm a Blazers fan, so I follow the team pretty closely, and I've been a Blazers fan since '96, where they brought in Kenny Anderson and Rasheed Wallace and all those guys. So I'm rooting for them, but it was my favorite pick for multiple reasons. For me being a Blazers fan, and also because I'm such a big Hansen Yang fan.
Ref, in that vein, what do you want to see from him in the first year?
To get on the court. So, definitely to get on the floor. I don't know if he's going to play for Rip City or not. I think he would absolutely dominate that, but I could also see a situation where if you can't get off Ayton or this year, then you let him play in the G League, let him adapt to the pace of the game, because I think in some cases the G League pace is even faster than the NBA. So I think it could be something where he spends some time there developing. But if he spends a whole year in the G League, then, you know, the talk about him and the big swing that they took, that's going to be magnified. So I think they have to at least give him some run. But success will be just getting on the floor, whether it's outplaying somebody or a move is made to clear up some room for him to play.
Ralph, you were talking about the pace of play there, and in the CBA they play pretty damn fast. And Yang was playing 33 minutes a game with guys you mentioned like Edey and Donovan last year. Edey got his conditioning to a level that guys that big just don't get to, and it took DC a little bit of time to kind of get up to speed. Do you think pace of play and conditioning is going to be a factor for him? Because it looks like he's a guy that, despite his enormous size, can get up and down the floor all game and be effective.
Yeah, I do think so. Another thing that is interesting is that the times that we've seen him play, whether it was this year at the Combine or even last year at Summer League briefly, and I've lived in China, so I understand this. Like, it takes a long time to get your body adjusted to just the time difference. And coming from China to Las Vegas last year, I mean, that was almost like a full day. And then Chicago, and I know it takes me a long time. So I think part of the reasons why he may not have looked in, like, the best condition over here is because his body clock was off. It was totally different time zone, and, you know, just got to get used to the food and everything else. But I think once he gets adjusted, then he'll look a little bit better. But overall, I do think it is going to be, you know, an adjustment period for him to get used to the pace.
Rafael Barlowe from the Locked On's NBA Big Board pod. Thank you for the time, man. Always appreciate it. Go give him a follow at Barlowe500. That's Barlowe with an E, 500 on Twitter. Thanks, man.
Appreciate you, Ralph.
Yep, no problem. Anytime. See ya.
I think one thing that's important that we can kind of note here about that is you talked about the conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
He played professional basketball over in China. I don't think a lot of people even know how long that season is.
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to be ready for 82 regular season games?